the 80s. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
Weather is brought to you by OG&E Weatherization Program for Arkansas customers with homes at least 10 years old. Call 1-800-272-9741 for details or log on at oge.com.
Radio station.
KERX, Paris Fort Smith, from the Bush and Bushlight Studios. This is ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Broadcasting live from the Bud Light Studio.
I love Arkansas! I love everything here! Give me that thing here! Woo!
On your favorite Arkansas sports talk station.
Why did that happen in Fayetteville, Arkansas?
Dixon Street. It'll get you.
Streaming live from
Hit that line.
.com.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
This is Halftime.
Man, that ball got out of here in a hurry.
With Phil Elson.
You do a fantastic job on the radio. There's no one else in this league I'd rather listen to, so keep up the good work.
And Ty Richardson.
Guys do a good job, and I'll listen to you guys.
2 more quarters, and after that, most of you will never play this game again.
D-Mac, hold on now, Ryan. D-Mac not looking back, touchdown.
How about that Heisman, Mark Jones?
How do you like
it? Wide open again.
All right, hold on, it's almost halftime.
Well, I'm excited about today's show. And, hey, the honest thing is I'm excited about every show that we do here because why not? We're talking sports 5 days a week, really 6 days a week because of the Razorback games that we're covering and doing the pre and post to the pre and post on the IMG broadcast. So, yeah, I mean, Ty, you always say it. Phil Elson here, Ty Richardson's back in the ESPN Arkansas studios. We're lucky to do what we do for a living. I think listeners, fans, even listeners that expect broadcasters to be fans would definitely say, yeah, you guys have it made in a way that I don't know if you really even appreciate that we get to talk sports and get paid to do it. But it really is difficult for the first couple of weeks, or for the first couple of days each week now to be doing a postmortem of a depressing game and a depressing loss. Last week that wasn't the case. 2 weeks ago it was, after the Ole Miss game in which Arkansas pretty much finally decided on who their quarterback is. That quarterback then helps them win a game with a big fourth quarter against Colorado State, then lays a giant egg against San Jose State, and that's what we've had to do the last couple of days is decide whether or not the loss to the Spartans was the most embarrassing loss in Arkansas history. I mean, I've seen some interesting arguments, and the arguments centering around the thought that no, it wasn't the most embarrassing loss; it was the second most behind the Citadel. I mean, let's be honest here: who really cares if you're arguing about what is the most embarrassing loss compared to the second most embarrassing loss? It's like it's not apples and oranges; it's pretty much the same fruit. So nobody wants to argue about that anymore. And that's what today's all about. Ty, remember what was it last week? Because he didn't want to just sit on that fourth quarter against Colorado State for the entire week and make that the point of the conversation that we were having. You had another game coming up, so we were looking ahead. Starting last Wednesday. And I guess I could just, grab the box score. Here it is. Here it is again, Ty. This is the box score of Arkansas's 31-24 loss to San Jose State. And again, if only I had my Skype up and working and people could see me do it. So you want me to crumple this thing up, or do you just want to hurt for a while? Although I'll be honest here, for what you've got planned for the first segment here, and for what you did to prepare for talking about the 7 straight losses for Arkansas in the Southwest Classic against the Aggies, I think you're going to be dealing with pain no matter what in this first segment. But
might as well.
What do you say? Why don't I just take this thing here and say goodbye to it, right?
Do it, man. You did it last week. Let's start a tradition.
Okay, so this is the box score of Arkansas San Jose State. It's gone. It's done. Are we allowed to even bring it up now for the rest of the week? Do we get a penalty? Do we get a yellow flag, a 15-yarder?
I just have a feeling
for bringing it up.
I have a feeling, Phil, it'll come up at least one more time during the season. I just don't know how we could escape not talking about one of the worst losses in Arkansas football history. Not that. No, I don't think it's the worst loss, and I'm sure there's a lot of Arkansas media members that are well dated beyond my years of 24 that can give you a few more losses that are worse, but it's not great. But as of today, let's move on from it.
Okay, so we're moving on, which means Texas A&M, which also doesn't really mean very happy memories in recent history for Arkansas. And hey, that's just being honest here. That's what's happened ever since Arkansas joined the SEC. Haven't been able to figure out the Texas A&M Aggies. And man, there have been some close ones. There have been a lot of close ones. Out of the last 5 meetings, and of course Arkansas has lost them all. They've lost 4 of those games, including last year's game, by 7 points. I mean, you've been right there with Texas A&M. And the Aggies have been ranked in 4 of those games. They'll be ranked again in this one. I think they're 21st in the nation coming in. And Arkansas still has been able to play the Aggies very tightly. Now, it's a talented Texas A&M team, probably more talented than most of the teams, if not all of the teams that Kevin Sumlin had at A&M. But remember, you've been talking about with Texas A&M all season long. This is a highly talented club that happens to face the toughest schedule in the country. Although we did get into it, Football Power Index on ESPN yesterday says Arkansas now has the toughest schedule left. And that's because one of those teams that's on the schedule is Texas A&M. This is a team that has lost their starting running back, Joshua Corbin, to an injury for the rest of the season. They've had some trouble running the ball against good defenses. Whether or not that's the case against Arkansas, I don't know. You not like San Jose State ran the ball against the Razorbacks, but Ole Miss did, so did Colorado State. And you have a feeling that even though Kellen Mond is the most well-known player on that team at quarterback, they're going to try to jam the ball down Arkansas's throat. And this happens to be, Ty, a very a team in the Aggies that seems to be maybe a little over-eager to face Arkansas. We found some quotes.
And it's not you. Give yourself the credit. I just happened to get the text from you. You found some quotes. So I think that's the first thing we need to touch on. And Phil, it's not like this football team, and I'm referring to Arkansas, doesn't have enough bulletin board material heading into this game. If they're not ready enough, if they're not ticked off enough based on what happened Saturday in Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium, then I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know why we're doing a radio show. I don't know why they're still a football team. If there is not enough ticked off people in that locker room based on the performance that they put out there, then they shouldn't have a football team. Now, that's not the case. You and I know that's not the case. Now, the question is, are they going to come out flat? Or are they going to come out determined? Because I think you and I both don't think they're going to win the football game, but it also depends on how they play. That's a big part. That's why our halftime poll question is, will Arkansas be motivated on Saturday or come out deflated? And I could see either or happening because they have played Texas A&M well. But I'm going to throw this back to you. There were a couple quotes in this article written in the Houston Chronicle by Brent, correct me if I'm wrong, Zwimmerman?
It's a tough name to say, that's for sure.
Yeah. So
Brent Zwerneman. I think that's how you would say it, Zwerneman, of the Houston Chronicle. It was published yesterday. And it's funny, when you look at the headline of the article in the Chronicle, it sounds like it's if you were just to take the name Jimbo Fisher out and put in Brett Bielema. The headline says Jimbo Fisher says Texas A&M is close. I don't know if did you hear Bielema say that? That was his word. Like unacceptable has been Chad Morris's word. Close was Brett Bielema's word. But I mean that's part of the gist of the article. But also later on in this article here, there are some quotes that sounded a little bit like quotes that we heard from Arkansas players last week leading into the San Jose State game, in which, by the way, Arkansas was, a 21-point favorite? Well, they're a 23-point underdog against Texas A&M, so we're already seeing some similarities. I think it was Ty Clary that was quoted as saying that he wanted to dominate and put up 70 points or something like that. Grant Morgan had been quoted that he expected or wanted to hold the Spartans to 0 yards rushing, shut them out. And the Spartans, after Saturday's upset win at Reynolds Razorback Stadium, were quite giddy to point out that they were able to use those quotes as bulletin board material. Well, here's some bulletin board material for Arkansas to put on whatever it is that you're going to have in your locker room to put up what the other team thinks about you. Not scouting reports, not statistics, quotes from players, legitimate things that they think they can do, word for word. And the first one is the writer, Brent Zwerneman. And he says, the Aggies should have no trouble hopping the hump Saturday when they face SEC speed bump Arkansas. I don't think anybody wants to be called a speed bump or a speed table, which has become a thing now. So there's one, but that's the writer that's saying it. Now the top receiver for Texas A&M, Jamon Osborne, says there's no reason why we shouldn't dominate the game. Now, I mean, whether you agree or not, and whether it's true or not, that right there is picture-perfect bulletin board material. And, Ty, I've always thought, I never understand why an athlete, whether a professional athlete or a collegiate athlete that loves to compete, would ever show up on the field of competition either ill-prepared or looking past an opponent and not taking them seriously. And it's not to say the Aggies aren't taking Arkansas seriously. But if you think that Arkansas needs any more motivation after last week's loss, there it is for you. It's right there in front of you in one of the largest papers in the country, if there's still a paper that they print in Houston.
I mean, there's so many examples that Arkansas fans can use. Louisiana Monroe, you can point to San Jose State, Toledo, the Citadel, and on and on and on. And it's not just Arkansas, it's college football in general. Appalachian State, Boise State. I mean, there are some big-time underdogs that have played in regular season or postseason game. People just thought they had no chance to win, and yet they pulled it out. So when coaches give their typical coach speak prior to that game, they know a lot more than the players do that it's not always about the Jimmies and Joes that you have on the other side of football. It's not always about the X's and O's. Sometimes things just don't go right, and sometimes teams just come in a lot more motivated than the other. Now, I would say that both these teams heading into AT&T Stadium on Saturday have a lot of motivation. Texas A&M so far is 2-2. They still got a ton of teams left on their schedule. They still have LSU. They still have Alabama. I mean, this is not going to be an easy road for the Texas A&M Aggies the rest of the way. And so they have to win this game. Arkansas has been an easy, and I say easy win, but a what fans view as an easy win for the Aggies for the past 7 years, since 2012. That's just been an easy thing that they just marked down as a W. So if they were to lose this game, then I think Jimbo would all of a sudden be just, I don't know, like the fans would be ticked off. And then for Arkansas, it would be great for our show because it would be a complete 180 of what fans are saying right now. So there's a lot of pressure on these teams heading into Saturday on both sides of the football.
Ty, I think there's more pressure on Texas A&M. You know, if you're a team that expects to be top level, when you've got a $75 million coach there running things on a 10-year contract, and it's, I think they expect. Texas A&M and fans and those who are realistic, you know, they had to expect a loss at Clemson. You know, as tightly as they played them last year in College Station, going on the road to Clemson and beating the defending national champions almost seemed impossible. They played a pretty decent game defensively, but didn't score a touchdown until the final 6 seconds. You know, whatever you expect about Texas A&M versus Alabama, again, you know, a little more realistic about some things, and what you see from LSU right now too. I don't know if LSU looks beatable by Texas A&M, but
and Georgia,
and Georgia too. These are the games. It's Arkansas. It's the Arkansas game that they absolutely have to win. You know, I would imagine that the Aggies would view the Razorbacks much in the way that Arkansas viewed San Jose State, inferior talent-wise, and a team that they feel like they should dominate. There it is. It's right there in front of you, coming from one of their best players. That's exactly what they expect, and I think it's okay if they expect that. But to say it publicly, you know, that's another thing. It would have been. I mean, look, the Aggies right now are going to come in pretty peeved because they just got pushed around by the Auburn Tigers for pretty much 3 quarters last week. That was a game in College Station that was the Aggies' opportunity to make a statement that they belonged in the upper echelon of the SEC West with LSU, with Auburn, with Alabama perhaps. But it's not that they got stopped, but they got stopped for the first 3 quarters and had a little comeback near the end of it. So, they're not going to be looking past Arkansas. Both teams have a bye after this game, and then the Aggies have to play against Alabama. I would imagine they're not looking past the bye to Alabama right now. They've got to be focused on what's ahead of them, and that's exactly what Arkansas's got to be too. So it was shocking. The thought, and I think it's true that Arkansas looked past San Jose State. They did not take them seriously. It's because they felt so good about themselves after the fourth quarter against Colorado State. I don't think the Aggies are necessarily in the same position. They need a good performance going into next week. I think you're going to see an Aggies team that comes out focused, that comes out expecting to dominate, and will probably play the way that they expect to. And for Arkansas, I think you'll see a team that comes out that comes out knowing that they've got to put their best foot forward after last week. Whether that matters or not, I don't know. If it's a matter of talent level, of depth, of where a program is, and I know Jimbo Fisher is still it's not rebuild mode, but it's keep building it up mode. The Aggies are a couple of steps ahead of Arkansas, there's no doubt. And
to play off the line that you just drawed, Arkansas really doesn't have the same amount of pressure that Texas A&M has in this game. And you may say, well, Ty, they just got beat by San Jose State. But no one expects Arkansas to win Texas A&M. Now, as fans listening right now, you want them to be competitive. And I know that's the mentality you don't want Arkansas football program to have, but no one expects them to win this game. The Vegas line is 23 for a reason. As any college football expert, they're going to have Texas A&M winning this football game. So that being said, there's really not a lot of pressure on the Arkansas football team. And I know you don't want to be loosey-goosey like they were last week, but you can play free to a certain extent because no one expects anything out of you. And so they should use that mentality and transform, hopefully, into a team that looks competitive in the SEC. Again, I don't necessarily think you have to win this football game, but show the fans something. And Phil, how does Nick Starkel play in his first game against his former teammates? Rakeem Boyd played in this football game last year. He's been through the ropes already. But how does Nick Starkel respond emotionally after throwing 5 interceptions against San Jose State, now turning around, ripping up his Bieber shirt, and playing his former teammates and his former coach? I'm curious to that. And then we always know the Chad Morris angle. It's his alma mater. This is a game that, whether he mentions it publicly or not, means more to him than any other football game on the schedule, regardless of what he says. End of story. I just can't, regardless of what he tells me publicly or what he says about that, it's just another game. We need to win it. This game means so much to him, just like it would to every other coach who's playing against his former school or his alma mater. You know the personal connections. That's just a part of college football and college sports in general.
Cherokee Casino hotline open today for your call or text. It's 877-377-6963. Jeff in Greenwood thinks Arkansas got overconfident against Colorado State. He says, not saying we beat A&M, but he thinks they played them close. Then thinks a week to prep for Kentucky, and he expects the season to turn around. Robbie in Virginia looking at it at 180. He says, yeah, what about bulletin board material? He doesn't think it matters very much, and he might be right about that. A&M has played Clemson and Auburn physically up front. They should dominate Arkansas. Arkansas couldn't get a push against San Jose State. How does that change against Texas A&M? Robbie's absolutely right. If you could not get a push against the Spartans at home, how do you play at the? And it wasn't even just defensively. Arkansas's offensive line also just could not push San Jose State off the line. So, I mean, if you're going to play in the league, how many times does Chad Morris say that the SEC is a line of scrimmage league? Where you get pushed around to the line of scrimmage against a Mountain West Conference team that's at the bottom of that barrel. Now you're facing an SEC West team that is built for the line of scrimmage. I don't know if it portends very well.
Yeah, but to that point, Phil, it's weird because they always seem to play competitively in this football game, even though the Aggies have had more talent since 2012. Even look back to last year. Dre Greenlaw gets those 2 picks, and they play pretty well in that football game from on the defensive side of the football. It's weird how sometimes, regardless of how a team looks on paper, how much motivation impacts the other football team. And you hope, because it's a talent disparity. That's plain and clear as day. between Arkansas and A&M. A&M has the position, I would say, at what, like 90-something% of the position group? I mean, I guess McTelvin and Geem, that's one. I don't know where you stand on Cam Curl. And then I'm trying to think offensive side of the football. I mean, maybe potential Trey Knox. I mean, is there a lot of guys that you could say? And then Cheyenne O'Grady. I don't know if there's a lot of guys that you could say on Arkansas would start on Texas A&M. But again, in sports, sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's about the team that wants it more. Sometimes it's about the team that preps harder the week before. And sometimes it's just about luck. And frankly, Phil, Arkansas hasn't gotten a dadgum bit of luck in this series dating back to 2012. I mean, you went back and put yourself through some torture by watching some of those highlights. So I think that's something to get to after the break. Plus your phone calls and texts on the Cherokee Casino hotline. We're brought to you by Breeden RV in Van Buren. Still have the big RV show going on, but not for very long. It's your last chance to save thousands on a huge selection of new and used RVs, ATVs, UTVs, boats, and motorcycles. Head over to Breeden RV in Van Buren. You can check out the Deer Hunter Special, like a new 21-foot travel trailer starting at $999.5 and new fifth wheels up to 35% off. Best part, everything new comes with Breeden RV's exclusive free maintenance for life. Go to BreedenRVs.com for more information. Phone calls and texts coming up as we continue to preview Arkansas versus Texas A&M. Got a little basketball to sprinkle in today as well. We'll have Clay Henry from Hogs Illustrated and Bill King from Nashville Sports Radio throughout halftime today. Back after a break on ESPN Arkansas and HitThatLine.com.
The best midday show in the Natty State. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson. This is the Morning Rush.
Now, Elliot, you are the individual that's getting married that Tyler Wilson will be at his wedding tomorrow. Tyler, when he was telling us, he sounded kind of bummed that he was having to go to your wedding instead of having to watch the game.
I don't think he wanted it framed that way.
Because everybody's going to be bummed when they can get free beer and be dancing with attractive young women.
Don't miss the Morning Rush. Weekdays from 6 till 9. Only on ESPN 95.3.
This is Mark Hurst. It's back to school time for our kids and teachers, and for a lot of our families, including mine, back to school means back to a routine. At Hurst Family Dental Care, we recommend a routine when it comes to your dental cleanings. For a lot of us, routine cleanings are included at no additional charge through our dental insurance, but often we get out of the routine and taking advantage of that benefit. Call our office today at 474-1972 to set up your routine cleaning. Hurst Family Dental Care, a name you know and a name you can trust.
I'm Lisa Hinton, owner of Champ Hinton Enterprises. For nearly 50 years, the Champ Hinton name has stood for one thing: selling quality cars in a different way, taking the mumbo jumbo out of the process and making customers happy. All these years and tens of thousands of cars later, we're still here, doing business the way Champ Hinton taught us, selling to generations of families who've become part of our family. Champ Hinton Enterprises, the area's premier used car dealer. Take the Arcoma exit off I-540 or go online at champhinton.com.
Did someone say, I'm hungry? Visit 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge on the Avenue. Try the new panini sandwiches like the Chicken Pyro or the Cubana or the signature 906 wings. Jumbo wings roasted with honey bacon jam. Want some spice? Try the black and blue wings. Experience their salads, flatbreads, coffees and desserts, top shelf wines and liquors, premium beers, world-class cigars, all in an atmosphere that feels less like a lounge and more like a destination. Sample, indulge, escape. 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. Treat your appetite on the Avenue.
Hi, I'm Kelly Smith, owner of Dixie Digital Imaging, the Xerox authorized agency and dealer in the River Valley. The 29 new models of Xerox business printers and copiers represent a quantum leap forward in office technology. They are designed for the way we work today, safely and securely. They're powered by Xerox Connect Key technology. They're innovative and affordable with both black and white and color devices available. For more information, give Dixie Digital a call at 783-6600 or visit us at dixiedigital.com. Dixie Digital Imaging, bringing Xerox document innovations to the River Valley.
Have you been thinking about new windows or vinyl siding for your home? Then think Superior Siding and Windows. Superior Siding and Windows has been offering low-maintenance, energy-efficient products in the River Valley for over 40 years. Superior Siding and Windows also specializes in sunrooms, patio covers for carports, and much more. Call 646-7888 for a free in-home estimate. Superior Siding and Windows, 646-7888. Superior Siding and Windows. Look for us in the Yellow Pages and like us on Facebook.
Littleton's Paintless Dent Repair is your one-stop shop for all repairs. Paintless Dent Repair, door dings, unsightly dents, and hail damage repair, all repaired to like new conditions. With over 1 million repaired vehicles with satisfied customers, Michael Littleton is the expert in paintless repair. Littleton's Paintless Dent Repair, conveniently located 3 miles from the Arcoma exit off Highway 112. Or call 479-461-9764. Your number one Arkansas fan.
The weather is hot and the deals are hotter at Hertz Car Sales. Hertz offers a wide selection of high-quality cars, SUVs, or trucks, and amazing customer service where you can buy direct and save on every car. With inventory arriving daily, why not make the short drive to 2810 Midland Boulevard or give them a call at 783-1722. You can also check them out on the web at buyfromhertz.com. Proud to serve Fort Smith and the River Valley. Stop by Hertz Car Sales today. You'll be glad you did.
ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by Coors Light, made to chill. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Starkel on first down, straight ahead, Boyd, lots of room, to the 40, to the 30, it's a foot race, and Boyd's going to the house. Raheem Boyd, 59 yards, touchdown Arkansas.
Well, there's one former Aggie and Raheem Boyd that you'd like to see have some big plays against his former team. Imagine Raheem's pretty fired up to face the Aggies. Nick Starkel, too. I wonder what Eddie in Clarksville thinks about being fired up to face the Aggies. Our guests, our listeners, our callers can call or text on the Cherokee Casino hotline, 877-377-6963. First man up today is Eddie in Clarksville. Eddie, how you feeling?
I still got a sick feeling, sir. Let me go on record. So I'm officially Chad Moore's way. Let me say this. I still
Heidi, I think we lost you, buddy. Sorry about that. Hopefully we'll try and get back connected or something.
Oh, that's too bad. Because it sounded like he was ready to set up and dive into something for a couple of minutes, and I wondered what he wanted to ring the bell about today.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into what you had here. I don't want you to put yourself through torture, Ty, and not use some of this stuff. So, did you really go back and watch highlights of all of the losses from the last 7 years from Arkansas and Texas A&M? Did you really put yourself through that?
So I skipped 2012, which was when Johnny Manziel torped John L. Smith in College Station. I didn't watch those, but I watched every highlight video from 2013 up to 2018 last year. Man, there's some painful memories. And the reason I did that is because sometimes you forget about certain instances, certain big plays in the game that you need to remember heading up to A&M, because I think they're important to realize how close Arkansas was in some of these football games. I mean, the Dan Skipper trip play, the Cole Hedlund missed field. I mean, there are just a couple of different occasions where Arkansas had the game in the bag and let it slip away.
Well, I mean, you look at last year, and Arkansas had to creep from behind. And ended up finding themselves down 17-0 early in the second quarter, and fought back and got the ball back with a touchdown, one touchdown down to the Aggies in the final 3 minutes. And Ty Storey threw that interception down the right sideline, which was a heartbreaker. So, I mean, and that would have been the closest that Arkansas came to an SEC victory last year, other than the 7-point loss to LSU, which maybe some of that had to do with the freezing cold. Maybe Eddie's phone was cold. Eddie's back on with us. Hey, Eddie, your phone working here?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Hey, that's a lot better. Go for it.
Well, sir, I mentioned old Ruskin and Zach. Sir, I've been a Hawk fan since 1971. And my first Hawk game was Arkansas, Texas. By the way, I don't remember much about the stats that day, but we beat Texas that afternoon 31-7. And that's where the Hawk train terminology comes from, Eddie, from Clarksville and Hawk Delight. But let me say this. By far, this was the worst performance, and I've witnessed a lot of games, by any Arkansas team I ever witnessed. It's not that, I said this the other day, that we lost the game. No shame in losing. but it's a shame to disgrace our program. It's the fundamentals that's what you got beat in. You could take away the 6 interceptions or 5 interceptions, the turnovers. We got beat in the fundamentals. We got beat. You know what? What they ought to do, Chad Morris, sir, you need to walk in to the locker room right now and say, Travis, you're fired. And offensive line, Hunter Yurchek, I know you didn't hire Coach Morris. You need to walk in, put some pressure on him, and say, I know I listened to your comments in Little Rock the other day, that you know what, you still support your coach. How can you support and back that?
Well, Eddie,
how can you ever have a winning program if you can't beat the teams you're supposed to beat? This is his second year, and I'm telling you
Eddie, I got to correct you on something. So I don't know if you listened to Hog Pod with Bo, but he okayed the hire of Chad Morris. So there's this idea out there that fans are listening right now and that might not still know. When Julie Cromer talked to Bo about this, he okayed the hire of Chad Morris. They had long talks about this. There's an idea out there that Hunter Yurchek had no idea who the football coach was coming in. So if you're going to put some blame on, you can't just completely pull the blame away from Hunter Yurchek. And again, there's a long season out there, Eddie. I mean, you got to let it play out a little bit. I know you're ticked about San Jose State. I know you think it's the worst loss outside of the Citadel in school history, but let's just put that on the record right now that Hunter Yurchek okayed Chad Morris. That is out there. That's false information. That needs to be said right here, right now. So you can continue.
Well, sir, I'm not giving him credit. I realize he didn't hire, but he is our athletic director, sir. And I tell you this, I understand what he said. You know what I mean? What else is he going to say? But I'm telling you this, he needs to be watching vigilantly. And let me say this, I don't see another win in this program the rest of the year. I mean, you know what I'm saying? The fundamentals. I mean, if he's going to remain our coach, I do agree with this. Coach Morris has got the right idea. You got to pass the ball, no doubt about it. He is a recruiter, but it's the fundamentals. You know what I mean? I mean, it's his coaching staff. Is it? And I want to ask a question today, sir, and we need to ask Trish today. Is Coach Morris still flying? Maybe that's where we're not prepared to play better. And does he fly back on Saturday? This guy's not. You're telling me that was a team that prepared to play football in front of 58,000 fans?
All right, Eddie. Well, hey, you know, it's an interesting question to ask. I wondered when that would be brought up. I'd heard it on a couple of other shows, but not on this one yet. I think he does still fly to see Chandler play, which is also, by the way, watching potentially a future Arkansas quarterback since he is an Arkansas commit. I was waiting for that to show up. I really did. And yes, Sean from Greenwood asked, did I just hear Eddie jump off the hog train? It sounded like he almost did. He almost did. But we're going to step aside for a break because Clay Henry from Hogs Illustrated is joining us in just a moment. Brought to you by Rhodes Chevrolet, the name you've been trusting for over 80 years. Rhodes is dependable in the car buying and car owning experience. When you walk into the showroom, you're treated like family, not just a customer. That's part of the family-owned dealership and service department that has served the River Valley for over 8 decades. Your next dependable vehicle is at Rhodes Chevrolet, 2800 Alma Highway in Van Buren, or at RhodesChevy.com. Rhodes Chevrolet, dependable since 1934. Clay Henry's joining us next on ESPN Arkansas and HitThatLine.com.
The best midday show in the Natty State. You're listening to Halftime.
Some people will never reach the top. Some will never even try. But anyone with a gall to push their limits knows the reward. Here's an offer that goes further. Get a Yeti Hopper Flip 8 cooler, a nearly $200 value with the purchase of 4 new BF Goodrich mud terrain or all-terrain tires.
Get where you need to be with Southern Tire Mart, just off I-540 at exit 14 in Fort Smith.
See bfgoodrichtires.com/promo for complete details. Offer expires 10/8/2019. Void where prohibited.
Joe's Grill and Cantina is the only place to watch the Hogs. Watch every game at Joe's. Enjoy half-price apps and taps during the game. And with TVs all around the restaurant, you'll have a front row seat. Half-price appetizers like brisket nachos, Mexican pizza, 10-layer dip, or Joe's humongous sampler platter. All half-price. And all beers on tap are half-price. Watch every Hog game at Joe's. Half-price apps and taps during every Hog game at Joe's Grill and Cantina. 3400 South 74th Street across from Harps.
Barley is the soul of Budweiser.
That's why we've been working with the same family-owned American farms for more than 50 years to harvest it. The secrets to growing this grain perfectly have been passed down through 3 generations. For them, it's a legacy. And it's why only the best barley and locally sourced ingredients are used to make Budweiser. Budweiser is proudly raised across America. This Bud's from our barley farmers. This Bud's for you. Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
That's the secret phone. The what? Remember? I told you my dad's a shelter agent. When that phone rings, he rushes out to save the day. Whether someone's home or car gets damaged, my dad is always there to help. He has the coolest job ever.
Well, my dad's an astronaut.
That's cool too, I guess.
Find your insurance superhero at shelterinsurance.com.
Ask shelter agents Marsha Cox or Phil Hicks about a free insurance review.
You always get more at Orr.
We always put the customer first at Orr Chevrolet in Fort Smith. Since 1924, the Orr family of dealerships has grown based on one simple principle. Give the customer more money for their trades and give them a lower price on their new vehicle. It's a simple concept, really, but one that very few dealers honor anymore. Hey, we know you paid a lot of money for your vehicle, and Orr Chevrolet wants to pay you the maximum amount for it today. Then we'll give you an awesome price on a new Chevrolet. But we're not done giving you more. Included with any new vehicle sold. Orr Chevy will also give you a lifetime powertrain warranty, 2 years of free maintenance, and free car washes for life. So come get a lower price and more money for your trade today at Orr Chevrolet on Auto Park Drive in Fort Smith and 24/7 at OrChevyFS.com. Chevy, find new roads.
You always get more at Orr.
ESPN 95.3.
Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Play fake, gonna throw a fade, left side, knocks at the goal line, complete, touchdown Arkansas! Trey Knox, 24 yards, and just like that, the Hogs are in the end zone.
Back on ESPN Arkansas, hitthatline.com, halftime on a Wednesday. Phil Elson, Ty Richardson. Ty, I continue to be impressed by the Creedence Clearwater Revival comebacks that you've been playing for us.
That's
Clay
all
Henry.
you, man. I'm just learning from my teacher in terms of halftime homework, and
You're the one who makes these comebacks, so this is all on you. Clay Henry joins us right now. Clay out of Hogs Illustrated, publisher.
I'm a CCR guy.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I thought maybe you would love CCR. I taught Ty about CCR a couple of weeks ago, and now he's making comebacks with it. I love it.
Yeah, I had. Let's see. When I was right after college or whatever, I had an 8-track player in my car. Built in, I mean, not built in, like installed, got in there and wired it through the dash, and it hung there. I had Johnny Cash, CCR, the Jackson 5. Now, you tell me what the Jackson 5 is, Ty.
It's Michael Jackson and his brothers, another halftime homework assignment.
It's funny you brought that up, Clay, because I think I taught Ty about
generational
CCR
gap
the week after he learned about the Jackson 5. Could you imagine somebody that he did not know that Michael Jackson was part of a band before he was a solo act?
I mean, it's like the offense that Arkansas is running now. A, B, C. It's simple as 1, 2, 3. Now that's Jackson 5 right there, baby.
So Clay, what is the next music genre or band that Phil needs to assign me for halftime homework?
Well, I mean, how about? We're going to Arlington this weekend. How about East Texas Red Dirt Country? How about some of that, like some Cody Johnson?
Right. Well, I need to be taught about that stuff first. I mean, that's the Mike
Cody
Neighbors
Johnson,
that I travel
that's
with him
kind
for
of a
women's
George
basketball.
Strait.
Yeah,
it's a George Strait kind of guy. Maybe he sounds a little bit like Tim McGraw. That would be all right. And then we're going to go to Kentucky in 2 weeks. It could be Tyler. Is it Childers? That I think that guy's playing at the Town Center coming up, so you could go up and listen to him. So those are, and you'd be surprised what's on my phone when I listen to when I'm jamming. But there's some Cody Johnson, there's some Tyler Childers, there's a lot of George Strait. But I'll bounce into Adele and Frank Sinatra, and I'll even listen, like if it's Louisiana LSU week, I'll listen to some Buckwheat Zydeco, some Zydeco music. So,
I might surprise listen to music, yeah. And I know you knew some Justin Bieber music last week, but we're done talking Justin Bieber on this show.
No, sir, he's torn up and destroyed.
That's exactly right. Maybe that's one reason why Arkansas plays better against Texas A&M. I don't know. But, you look at some of the similarities between last week and this week, although it's flip-flopped. Arkansas was a 21-point favorite last week. They're a 23-point dog this week. Last week they were expected to dominate physically, and it didn't happen. This week it's supposed to be the other way around. I mean, is there much hope in your mind that Arkansas, even with an inspired performance, has that much of a shot to defeat Texas A&M? They've come close in 4 of the last 5 years, but close doesn't matter very much, does it?
Well, I mean, there's a difference in talent. There's a difference in experience level. I don't think A&M is playing as many freshmen as Arkansas. I got tickled. Someone on our forums, message boards or whatever, is like, hey, they need to find a coach that's really good at coaching young players. Just chew on that one for a little while. It's like, yeah, just like, well, I mean, would that be Bear Bryant? Would that be Frank Broyles? No. You go back and you look at their record when they played young players. That's when they had, their 6-4s. That's when they had their 5-5s, and they weren't playing this kind of an SEC schedule. You can say, well, Bear Bryant played an SEC schedule. If you go back and you look at Alabama back in the day, they didn't play everybody. They just picked who they wanted to. There was no round robin. There was no whatever. So, it's like now in the SEC West, you're going to be assigned these teams, and then you're going to be assigned crossover. You do not get to hunt and peck who you play. Go back. Go find you a coach that's really good at playing young ones.
Well, you're right. And, talk about a coach who should be able to connect with the youth, and obviously did. Chad Morris had great success in high school, as a high school coach. I mean, there's somebody that does know how to coach young players. But I wonder if maybe, there was the thought that last week that while Arkansas was properly prepared for their opponent, that maybe they were looking past the Spartans and looking ahead to A&M. Do you put that on experience? Do you put that on youth?
I mean, let's just be honest. You got to put it on coaching. You got to put it on youth. You got to whatever. I mean, it's like that. I think it is a huge focus up there now on recruiting, that they know that that's the future. It's you got to coach them and develop them, but you've got to do anything you can to recruit top players, and you do things from uniforms to Club W or Dub or whatever you want to call it. You do those things to fascinate and keep interest in recruits, and that it's but I do think without question that the mindset after the Colorado State game was blown out of proportion, that they had arrived, and we know that's not true. We knew it wasn't true then. It's like the defining moment was mentioned. And, it's like it was a defining moment for that game. It was not a defining moment for the program because, it's the hill is still steep. And they're still playing the same guys. And, I think that it was the mindset of the players, whether it starts with the coaches or whatever, was that we should win this game, that we can show up with, quote, hogs on the side of our helmet, and we can win, and and everybody says, well, when he realized that in pregame, he should have snapped him out of that. Well, he tried, but that's not when that happens. It is the focus in preparation so that you learn what the other team is doing, and it is the same focus that was the previous week when you were trying to avenge, a loss. So, that's kind of my take on that.
Speaking with Clay Henry, the publisher of Hogs Illustrated on the Cherokee Casino Hotline. Clay, before we brought you on, we were talking about some recent losses that Arkansas has suffered against Texas A&M. The Texas A&M blowout 2012 with Johnny Manziel. There's some excruciating losses in Dallas. Since every loss since 2012, Clay, is there one that stands out to you that you feel like Arkansas should have had the most?
All of them. They all stand out. One's, yep. I mean, it's there are. I'm going back. I'll be old school. The one that hurts the most and stands out the most is still 1969, 15-14, the game of the century. I was 16 years old, or within weeks of that, and that game still hurts and still stands out. And I think about all the different moments in the game, from the penalty that was, brought back a touchdown in the first half that could have made, would have made it 14-0. The pass interception that was thrown that wiped out a chance to go up 17-8. The clip on one of James Street's runs. You want me to go on and on? I mean, I can see it without ever having watched it a second time. I can still see on a dark, overcast day that one eats at my craw. So it's not the Citadel. It's not, it's in. I think other Texas games are similar. Matt Jones fumbling going in when Arkansas was about to beat Mac Brown's team in Fayetteville. I can't give you the date or the year, but y'all know what I'm talking about. And there's other games where you think, hey, it's in your grasp, and you didn't complete the deal. So, the Alabama game where Arkansas is up 17-0, Mallett throws. Does he throw 3 interceptions in the second half or something like that when they had the lead? You throw them away in those situations. 3 interceptions at that point of the game is similar to throwing 5 in one game. You condense the moment of boom, 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 3 interceptions. So, yeah, I wasn't prepared for the question, but those are the things that come off the top of my head, and I think there's enough there that you can go on to your next question, Ty. And that was a good question. I like it.
Well, let me focus on this on my main concern about Saturday's game, and it's line of scrimmage play, in which Arkansas just wasn't very good against San Jose State. Now facing a team in A&M that it has been pretty good for the most part defensively at the line of scrimmage, and they get behind the line of scrimmage. They stop running backs before they get to that line, and I don't know if it's a matter of inspired play matters all that much in this case, because the Aggies are just a more physical team at the line of scrimmage. That's my main concern Saturday.
Yeah, it is. Can Arkansas do enough in the running game to where they make safeties play run? They don't just sit back there in the pass, and that's the huge question, and that's the difference in the team. And it is line of scrimmage. Phil, you're so right, and everything rolls off of that particular aspect. And can Ty Clary and Ricky Stromberg and do they in Austin Capps, are they able to control the middle, and even to the point of can they keep the pocket from being pushed back on top of Nick Starkel? I mean, can those 3 guys just hold some ground a little bit? Are they physically strong enough? And when you look at Stromberg, and he's a 275 to 280 guy, and then you look at Ty Clary, he's a 285 guy. Well, that's small in the SEC. I mean, that used to be massive, but that's little bitty. And just to kind of give you perspective, Kentucky has 2 nose tackles. One is 365, the other one is 378. So those guys are going to have their hand pull not just this week, and I'm talking about Clary and Stromberg and Capps. It's going to be like that every week the rest of the go in the SEC, and that's something to watch. Yeah, Cunningham hasn't been a smash mouth guy that's played for Colton Jackson last week. I suspect Colton will be back this week, but neither one of those guys are massive guys where you say, well, let's run right there and move the pile. Well, no, that didn't happen. Dalton Wagner is got a little more of that oomph than the others, but he may not be quite as good in the pass sets. So being able to run the ball starts with those 5 guys, and it doesn't ever change, Phil. That's the nature of football.
Well, and, there's a concern. You wondered who was going to make plays for this team. You got playmakers at a lot of positions, but they can't do their thing if the offensive line doesn't gel. And you thought that maybe they'd have a chance to gel over the first 4 weeks, because after that, like you mentioned, the schedule's a lot tougher, and I just don't know if we've only got about a minute left here, but to react to the thought of offensive line play, and, you had your chance to gel over the first month, and it really hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I'd suspect that they'll have a little more strike in them this week. I was very clear in what I wrote after the game that the first time I saw any fire was when the baton twirlers lit up their batons at halftime. There was no fire with Arkansas, and and that's not the first time that's happened. That's not the last time that'll happen. I can remember Lou Holtz coming in after the start of a warm up against Rice in maybe his last year. And he was so upset in the indoor workout in the Broyles Center, they scrimmaged. Well, guess what? They got 7 players hurt in a 15-minute scrimmage, and they weren't able to hardly play the game. So anyway, I could talk about lacking fire and write an essay that's 3,000 words in all the instances I've seen through the years where a team lacked it. And it just happens sometimes.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's not the case this Saturday. You got
better things to write about. They'll be ready to play. Yeah,
I think so too. Clay, thanks for always coming on with us. Appreciate you, man. And I'll be reading you in Whole Hog and Hogs Illustrated.
Good questions, guys. Enjoyed it.
All right, that's great. Did you know Clay Henry caught 6 fish in the 45 minutes before he joined us right there? I want to live there. To be able to catch 6 fish and then come on and do a radio hit, that is living large. But Clay is living a little larger than me and Ty. We'll come back after the break. We'll close up the first hour on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson. Follow them on Twitter at Phil Elson PXP and at Ty Sports Radio.
When was the last time you looked forward to seeing the dentist? Well, if it's been a while or you haven't had the best of experience with dentistry, meet Marcy Van Ash McKinney in Family Dentistry. They take care of it all: crowns, bonding, dentures, bleaching, and cosmetic dentistry. They even offer oral consciousness sedation available for your comfort. That's Marcy Van Ash McKinney Family Dentistry at 807 South 21st. Call for an appointment today, 494-7600. That's 494-7600.
Hey hunters, fall hunting seasons are drawing near, and Jelco Outdoors has all the gear to make this year one to remember. Stop by and check out the bows, guns, stands, blinds, feeders, clothing, footwear, cameras, and so much more. Hurry in and start getting ready for fall at Jelco Outdoors, your premier locally owned outdoor store in the River Valley. Remember, a great hunt begins at Jelco Outdoors in Fort Smith.
Every day, vegetables are ripped from the earth, sliced, diced, even something called julienne. But for just $5 a day, you can help. Get 2 Hardee's Original Roast Beef Sandwiches for just $5. Slow-cooked beef, hand-dipped in rich au jus, each prepared without harming a single vegetable. So come to Hardee's, get 2 Original Roast Beef Sandwiches, and save the veggies. Hardee's, because it tastes better. Available for a limited time after regular breakfast hours at participating restaurants. Tax not included. Price and participation may vary.
Harry Robinson Buick GMC has over 200 pre-owned vehicles to choose from luxury to economy and everything in between, including over 50 great vehicles with payments under $250 a month, certain to fit your needs and your budget. And at Harry Robinson Buick GMC, you always get more for your trade. 50 vehicles with payments under $250 a month at Harry Robinson Buick GMC. Exit 11 off I-540 in Fort Smith.
Right now, I'm holding a perfectly ice-cold Coors Light. You know how I know it's the perfect temperature? Because the mountain on the can is blue. And also, it's really cold. Every Coors Light is cold filtered, cold lagered, and cold packaged. Notice how many times I said cold? 3 times. It's that cold. So make sure the mountain on your can of Coors Light is blue, because that means it's ready to enjoy. 2019 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Your fence is more than a decoration. It's a reflection of its owner. Choosing a fence company should be done with integrity and quality in mind. The Fence Man has been providing fencing and security solutions for over 40 years. An in-house custom iron and gate department, plus an access control department. The Fence Man offers services other companies aren't equipped to do. The Fence Man, fencing and security solutions to protect what matters most. 479-782-3936 or online at thefencemancompany.com, a division of Quantum Property Services.
You've worked hard your whole life anticipating the day you could finally retire. If that day is near, there are 5 things you need to do. Spend wisely, understand your retirement plan distribution options, plan for your required minimum distributions, know your Social Security options, and consider phasing. Call Brad Lewis at United Financial Advisors to discuss these steps in detail at 242-7466 or through our website at ufadvisors.net.
Securities and advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates, member FINRA SIPC. United Financial Advisors is a marketing destination.
Hey dads, do you have an athlete in your house that is looking to take their skills to the next level? Excel Speed Training at the Fort Smith Athletic Club has the proven results to maximize your athlete's potential. Designed for both male and female athletes of all ages and various sports to improve mobility, endurance, agility, and vertical jump. Take your game to the next level with Excel Speed Training. Call Mike Johnson at 479-926-0193. That's Mike at 479-926-0193 at the Fort Smith Athletic Club.
ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by Coors Light, made to chill. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Football's out. Razorbacks have picked it up. We're headed back the other way. Picked up by Cam Curl. He's still got the football. Curl's all the way. He's going to the house. Touchdown, Arkansas.
Close up the first hour here on Halftime, brought to you by the Fence Man. If you own a business that needs more security or maybe needs more curb appeal, a new fence from the Fence Man can give you both. That's because the Fence Man specializes in custom installations. They've been doing it for over 40 years. Ask about gates or controlled access card readers, and the Fence Man is there for a quick, no-obligations quote. 479-782-3936. That's the number for the Fence Man. Ask for Henry, the Fence Man, a division of Quantum Property Services. Practice updates for Arkansas. Won't have Chase Hayden available on Saturday. He is out with an injury. Trey Knox was at practice. And also Colton Jackson, Traylon Burks, and Bumper Poole wearing the green no-contact jerseys. TJ Hammonds does return to the field after missing the first 4 games due to a suspension. So no Chase Hayden, but you do get TJ Hammonds potentially in the backfield. We're going to come back with the second hour. We've got Change My Mind and Bill King, so stick around on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
The last big RV show of the year is going on right now at Breeden RV in Van Buren. This is your last chance to save thousands on a huge selection of new and used RVs, ATVs, UTVs, boats, and motorcycles. We're having cookouts, parts and service specials, door prizes, henways, plus deer hunter specials like a new 21-foot travel trailer starting at $99.95 and new fifth wheels up to 35% off. Everything new comes with Breeden RV's exclusive free maintenance for life. So stop by Breeden RV in Van Buren and start your new adventure today.
Cookouts and door prizes on the 20th and 21st. See dealer for details.
It's time for the Arkansas-Oklahoma State Fair, happening now through September 28th. Come enjoy all your favorite rides, food, games, Old McDonald's Farm, Zuzu African Acrobats, and the educational Agri-Puppets. For more info, visit ArkansasOklahomaFair.com. Today is Feeding Hope Day. Admission is only $1 or a non-perishable food item until 5 p.m. Plus, don't miss the PRCA Extreme Bull Riding at 8 p.m. The greatest show on dirt, free with paid gate admission.
I'm Frank Mir, former UFC heavyweight champion. My career in the UFC was tough on my body. I was considering stem cell therapy, but now, thanks to water-soluble CBD from CBD American Shaman, my life is so much better. CBD American Shaman has a water-soluble product made with nanotechnology. The nanotech allows CBD oil to mix directly into the water in a cloud when other CBD oil would just float on the top of the water. American Shaman doesn't make claims. Their customers do. CBD American Shaman, a CBD like no other.
Your number one Arkansas fan, Auto Owners Insurance and Kohler and Green Insurance is a winning combination. We will work with you to insure your home, auto, business, and life to keep everything you value safe, sound, secure. Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit Kohler and Green Insurance in Fort Smith. Call 484-9888. And Kohler and Green Insurance in Van Buren. Call 474-9888 today or online at kohlergreen.com.
The Ram Power Days event at Williams Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Stigler, Oklahoma is underway. You can now get 0% APR for 60 months, plus $2,000 combined bonus cash for up to $10,348 in estimated total value on select all-new 2019 Ram 1500 Laramie Crew Cab 4x4 models. Become one of the many proud and satisfied Ram owners with a great deal this month during Ram Power Days event at Williams Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Stigler. Log on to buywilliams.com for more information.
ESPN Arkansas weather.
Stuck with the clouds tonight. We could see a few showers or thunderstorms. An overnight low will drop down mid to upper 60s. Decent chance of some showers and maybe a few isolated thunderstorms Wednesday. Our high temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. And then taking a peek at Thursday, isolated showers. The storms and highs in the 80s. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
Weather is brought to you by OG&E Weatherization Program for Arkansas customers with homes at least 10 years old. Call 1-800-272-9741 for details or log on at OGE.com.
Proceed.
KERX Paris Fort Smith. This is Halftime, coming at you from the Bush and Bushlight Studios on ESPN 95.3.
It's what I always listen to.
Touchdown! Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
Good morning, Vietnam! Broadcasting live from the Bud Light Studio.
I love Arkansas. I love everything here. Give me that thing here. Woo!
On your favorite Arkansas sports talk station.
Why did that happen in Fayetteville, Arkansas?
Dixon Street. It'll get you.
Streaming live from
hitthatline.com.
You
want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
This is Halftime.
Man, that ball got out of here in a hurry.
With Phil Elson.
You do a fantastic job on the radio. There's no one else in this league I'd rather listen to, so keep up the good work.
And Ty Richardson.
Guys do a good job, and I'll listen to you guys.
2 more quarters, and after that, most of you will never play this game again.
D-Mac, hold on, Matt Ryan. D-Mac not looking back. Touchdown.
How about that Heisman, Mark Jones?
How do you like
it? Wide open again.
All right, hold on. It's almost halftime.
Welcome back. Second hour halftime on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com. It's a beautiful Wednesday across the natural state. I'm in Dallas, Texas. Actually was over at the Red Sox and Rangers game last night. Got a friend who's one of the Texas Rangers broadcasters, Matt Hicks. 2 of us work together in the Texas League, and Hicksy hooked us up yesterday, Ty Richardson. Talk about a hookup. Second level, first row, right behind home plate. That tells me 2 things. The first thing is it's the end of the season and the Texas Rangers stink, so nobody's really going to their games right now, so that means the really good seats are still available. Even for a perfect night where the wind was blowing and temperatures felt like they were in the low 80s in Arlington for a baseball game. The other thing I don't get, and I guess this can lead into what we would usually do about right now, but this wasn't the change my mind I was bringing up. They're building a new ballpark for the Texas Rangers, and you can see the construction going on right there by the Texas Live setup between AT&T Stadium and Globe Life Park. This is 25 years of this Rangers ballpark. There doesn't appear to be anything wrong with it. It's not like it doesn't appear to be lagging behind all the amenities that other major league stadiums have. But, they're spending, I don't know what the dollar figure is in the new stadium for the Rangers, but to me, it's almost I was going to have it change my mind. The Texas Rangers don't need a new ballpark. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Phil, you've been to the old Yankee Stadium and the new Yankee Stadium, correct?
I've not been to new Yankee Stadium, no.
Okay. Have you been to Fenway and Wrigley?
I've been to both of them. I'll
Okay.
say, old Yankee Stadium, they needed, a little more in the way of amenities and probably suites, for the moneyed people there in New York. For Chicago, they already renovated Wrigley Field to the point where they've got a lot more money coming in now. And Fenway's been renovated, too, to try to keep up some of the things that people loved about it, but also provide some more amenities. It's still a really tiny ballpark.
And the question I'm getting at off those is, are those ballparks ever going to be, you think, torn down? Are they so historic? Like, I guess in our lifetime, is that a cap-off point that we can get to? Because I'm wondering about that, because you think about the historical significance of both Wrigley and Fenway, and if there's another ballpark I'm missing out there for the fans listening, I'm sorry, Phil, you're going to have to fill me in on that.
No, that's the last one left, man. I mean, after Wrigley and after Fenway, the third oldest ballpark still in use in the major leagues is Dodger Stadium.
How old's Dodgers?
Where did that open? In like 1961 or 62 is when the Dodgers started playing at Chavez Ravine. So, yeah, I mean, if they can replace Tiger Stadium in Detroit, which opened the same year that Fenway did, you can replace anything. But, I feel like Boston, more than Chicago, had an opportunity to build a new ballpark. They were even talking about tearing down Fenway and building one in South Boston, which never happened, and they put more money into that ballpark. I guess I'd be surprised now with all the money that's been put into those two stadiums by the ownerships if they ever do get replaced. And I hope they never get replaced, because they're the only ones that are left in the major leagues that remind you truly of a bygone time. Even with these stadiums like Globe Life Park in Arlington that were built to pay homage to the old ballparks. You can never truly bring that same feeling back. So it's just found odd. It's a 25-year stadium, but then again, Pittsburgh replaced Three Rivers after 30 years. Cincinnati did the same with Riverfront. Atlanta replaced a 20-year-old ballpark when they built SunTrust Park in Cobb County. So, this is, I guess you could call it progress, right? Somebody's going to build a stadium for these teams. And if the municipalities or cities that already have them want to keep them, well, they might going to have to build something else for them. JT in Hot Springs tells me on the text line, Rangers can't play day games in the summer. The new one will have a roof. Okay, so that's right. I forgot they're building a roof for the new ballpark, which makes sense. If you got a roof in Houston, you're going to put a roof in Arlington. They are playing a day game tomorrow on Getaway Day for the Red Sox, but I don't think here it's not quite the dead heat of summer. So I don't know, maybe you could just build a roof over the stadium you already have. I've heard people say, well, why don't you build a roof over Baum, right? And that, you know what I think, Ty? I think we'll see a college baseball park with a roof before Wrigley or Fenway get torn down. You want to change my mind on that?
I don't know if I'll be able to.
I changed my mind.
Hi, Joey.
Hey, how you doing?
He won't sell anybody out to buy his future.
How can you be so obtuse?
What did you call me?
Obtuse? Is it deliberate?
Son, you're forgetting yourself.
Change my mind.
Okay, Ty, so my change my mind here goes to something that you and I think, were talking about or even texting about with one of the listeners a few weeks ago, who didn't appreciate that we were referring to Chad Morris by his name, Chad Morris. He wanted us to refer to him as Coach or address him on our show as Coach. So, and look, a lot of people do this. A lot of people refer to any coach of any level, of any program, high school and above, always as Coach, rather than going with, the first name or Mr. this or Mr. that. And, my thing here, and I've worked in sports long enough to get a sense that sometimes I feel like people call a coach just Coach instead of the name because they're lazy and don't remember that person's name. But if you know he's a coach, you say Coach, and, somebody's going to look over the shoulder, and then you can start your conversation without being embarrassed that you forgot somebody's name. And it's funny because when you travel around teams, as much as I have, you end up in a room with like 4 or 5 coaches. They're all used to calling each other Coach in front of the players. So they'll say, Coach, what do you think of this? And you get 4 people looking over their shoulder because nobody's quite sure who's being referred to at that moment. And when I worked for the Travelers, and this is one of my favorite things about professional baseball. In college baseball, there's no manager. The managers are the students that do laundry and bring food around. Those are the managers. The guys who run the program in college are the head coach. In professional baseball, minor league baseball, major league baseball, they're called the manager. Yet, when you're around other media members that are so used to covering football and basketball, they just are so used to always referring to whom they're interviewing or questioning Coach that they would call the manager of the baseball team Coach, which you don't do in professional baseball. You just don't do it. And I would have to tell him, it's like, well, okay, let me just take you aside. I won't do this in front of anybody else, but this is a matter of the culture of professional baseball compared to the culture of any other sport. You don't call him coach. This is the guy's name. His name is Mike. You can call him Mike. He does not mind that. He actually likes when you call him by his first name. Or if you can't remember his name, go ahead and call him Skip for Skipper. Baseball managers are fine being called skippers, okay? So that's a whole other sit. And mostly I just feel like they were calling him coach because they forgot his name. So my whole thing, though, is I've been around teams long enough that I feel like, and look, I'm 42 years old. Some of the coaches I work with are the same age as me, or in some cases a little bit younger. Not every coach deserves the moniker coach to be called that in every setting. If you're going to do it in front of the players, because that's how they're supposed to address the head coach, fine. That's a different thing. Person to person, on a radio show, in conversation amongst other adults, first name basis is how you address people, including coaches. Coaches are not doctors. They didn't go to medical school and earn the name doctor. They're not judges that go through law school and then full careers and then get confirmed to the bench, and so they're referred to as Your Honor or judge. They're not politicians that go through a process of election so that from there on they're referred to as senator or congressman or congresswoman, or somebody that is elevated to a position in the cabinet of the president to where they're always referred to as Madam Secretary or Mr. Secretary or something like that. Coaches are regular people who happen to lead a team. And because we have this deal of coach worship in this society, we just get stuck to the idea that they always have to be referred to as coach. Some coaches might actually demand it at times. I think I told you the story, Ty, of my time as a student at Indiana University. One of my friends, walking past Bob Knight.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah, hey, Bob. Or, Bob Knight actually was famous for one time. A kid called him, hey, Knight. That's a different thing. He didn't like being called Bob by anybody, but that's also Bob Knight. He wanted to be called coach, but he also had some other things going on in his ego that would feed that. And he also had the 3 national championships, too. But my whole thing here is not every coach deserves to always be addressed as coach in every single setting. They're humans. They're people. And I call Dave Van Horn. I call him Dave in front of players, in front of coaches, in front of umpires, in front of fans. He's got no problem with that. And if there's one person up there on the campus at Arkansas that could have the ego to demand to be called coach all the time, it's Dave Van Horn. He doesn't have it. I do the same with Mike Neighbors. I do the same with Jimmy Dykes. I've done the same with Joe Foley that I worked with at UALR for all those years. These are regular people. They're human beings. They have first names. It's okay to call them by their first names. Change my mind.
So I remember in a press conference postseason, I think was when Isaiah Campbell was talking about, I think Van Horn, and then he corrected himself quickly. He was like, Coach Van Horn. Like, some guys just demand it a certain way, like to be called coach. There was a writer for The Athletic, and he writes for Michigan State. He's the beat writer, and I can't think of his name. I think it's Brandon O'Quinn or Brandon Quinn, but he had the idea out there, and he wrote about that calling someone you cover coach is wrong. That's unethical. That's not journalistic. And I don't know if I could go to that extremes, but Phil, I'm kind of in your camp when you're referring to one, and maybe people look at me differently than you because, again, I'm 24 years old. Chad's got, 26 years on me? I think he's 50 now, and they might see that as a sign of disrespect, but I don't intend it to be. And I think even people my age and once you get past college and you're in the post-grad world, you call people by your first name. And I've told you on occasion that I've had trouble adjusting, not as much so much anymore, but the first year or two out of college, I was having trouble adjusting, not calling people Mr., not calling that because that, or people Mrs. That was just one of those things that was hard to adjust at. But now you get out into the real world, I get it to a certain point, at a certain age, there's like a cutoff, there's a limit where, hey, you need to say Mr., you need to say yes, sir, no, sir, you need to call whatever, but I don't know if that's applicable to coaches. And I think it just depends on the personality as well, Phil. You brought up Bob Knight, and he commanded a sort of respect that I think he had earned, but to a degree it was a little egotistical, which is, I mean, you get that from coaches sometimes. There are coaches that have been in a certain place for a certain long, had a certain level of success that they feel like they've earned the title of coach. And I don't know that it's a sign of disrespect, kind of like you're saying, that if you call Chad Morris Chad. I mean, I hear Tom Murphy do that every single day. I hear Bob Holt do that every single day. I hear other journalists and people that are in the press conference do that every single day. And I don't think Chad Morris takes that as a slight by any means. And then there's other people that call him coach. And I don't think that's necessarily the worst thing in the world either. So in this case, I don't think that there's a huge, like, yes or no, right or wrong answer. But if someone stopped me and was like, you better address Chad Morris as coach from now on or whatever, I would just be like, no, that's just not what I'm going to do. If I occasionally... Go ahead.
I was going to say, Sean from Allen makes a good point here on our text line. He says, you call them coach when they've coached you in a sport. Yeah. And then for the rest of your life, you pretty much do refer to that person as coach. Look, I'm not saying that the players shouldn't refer to the coach as coach. It's other people. It's other people that are even connected to the program or fans. It's okay to call these human beings by their first names.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you mentioned that because some of my even junior high coaches I've called coach. I don't even, like, I've never referred to them by their first name. I'm not going to start now. And they don't even, some of them aren't even in the profession anymore. But that's just kind of what you grew up doing, and then it just sticks with you a little bit. And again, there's no like, that's completely wrong, that's completely wrong. But it's hard to change your mind here, Phil, because I kind of agree with you. But when someone gets so up in arms about them not being called coach, I think that's kind of a little off base. I'm kind of with you in that camp. All right, so might change my mind. For those out there listening that enjoy making the trip down to Jerry World, going down to the great AT&T Stadium, it's a fun place to watch a game, and I've enjoyed going over there over the years. I think it's vital for Arkansas to continue this contract somehow, some way, get A&M to sign it once again in 2024. And here's why. You don't have a Texas game outside of that right now. I know they'll get Oklahoma State, which Stillwater isn't too far from Texas, and you're going to play Rice, but there's no staple game in Texas outside of potentially if you played A&M every other year, which would be in College Station. You don't play in the Southwest Conference anymore, but you need that recruiting landscape like no business. Chad Morris right now has 8 guys committed from the state of Texas. Now, you lost one in Greedy Vance, and you would have had 9, but he knows how important it is to the state of Texas. Everyone listening right now knows that one of the key elements to Brett Bielema's departure was the fact that he didn't recruit the state of Texas, which has been so vital over the years for Arkansas football in its success. The fact that you get to play in an NFL stadium, which many of these kids coming in dream of playing at the next level one day, you can showcase that. You can showcase the fact that, hey, we play in Dallas Cowboy country every single year. You get a chance to play in an NFL stadium when you're in college. That's a good recruiting tool. And the fact that it pleases Jerry Jones, Phil, that's kind of a big deal. Now, I'm not going to the extent of you need to start John Stephen Jones the rest of the way here out, but he's probably the biggest guy right now, alum, that has the most impact and the most say, and that you want to keep relationship. You don't want to burn that relationship. He's done so much for the University of Arkansas that you don't want to burn that bridge. Let me ask you this, folks who are listening. From 2009 to 2011, when you won 3 of those, were you complaining at all about having to make your way down to Dallas, or were you wanting the games in Fayetteville? No, because that game was incredible. The fact that you were winning. So many people listening right now who are not in favor of the Dallas game and then wanting to go home and home, College Station to Fayetteville, they're looking at the fact that Arkansas's lost every game in this series since 2012 and since it's been moved to Dallas since 2014. So I think if that were not the case, if Arkansas had even won a couple in this series, now maybe not everyone, but a couple, they would not be complaining so much about the Jerry World, but they associate going down to Dallas playing that game to losing. I mean, there's been a lot of good memories for people going down there. John's 21st was down there in 2011 with the Tyler Wilson comeback. I just think that this is the game that Arkansas needs to have for recruiting purposes. I don't think people realize how big of a deal that is that Arkansas gets to play a game every single year in Dallas, Texas, one of, if not the most fertile recruiting grounds in the entire United States, where you have 300-plus 3-stars in the Dallas metro area. And again, parents, family, friends, they want to see their kids play, Phil. And I know Fayetteville's not that far. It's about 4.5 from the Dallas metro area. When you say that you can play in home, whether it's parents or friends in Allen, whether it's in McKinney, just anywhere surrounding Dallas, this is a much easier drive. It's a much easier game for many of them to make because, again, I know not a lot of the friends, family, and so on can't make every single game, but if they can plan on going to one game every single year, that's it. I think people underestimate how important this game is, not for Texas A&M, but for Arkansas's football program.
See, I think it's a little overblown about recruiting to the one time you play at that stadium each year. I mean, look, Brett Bielema couldn't recruit Texas and was playing there, but that's more because he pissed off every Texas coach than anything else. You hired already a legendary high school football coach from the state in Chad Morris. He's got the connections. He's recruiting the state, and I think that might be the case even if he didn't play at the Dallas Cowboys home. And the main reason is because if parents do want to see their kids play, and I even see this with basketball and the baseball teams I cover, they'll come watch them in Fayetteville. They will make the drive if they have the opportunity to do that. And it's really not all that far. And I think that there was a novelty aspect of the first few years of playing inside that stadium and how cool the idea is, and even the idea to be able to go there and go inside this giant stadium that hosts the Super Bowl and college football playoff championships now and all of that. But I think the novelty's worn off a little bit, and you're left with what you have right now this year, in which 2 of your home games are not played on campus. One of them's not even played inside the state of Arkansas. And so you've got this, garbage home schedule of just a couple of SEC home games.
And games in Little Rock.
Right, and a game in Little Rock, which then for me, it's like you got to choose between one of the two. Are you going to play in Little Rock, where you played historically for all these years, every 2 years, or are you going to play in Arlington? And they're already playing in an NFL stadium next year because Missouri doesn't even want the home game on their campus next season, so you're playing in Arrowhead. I just think by now the novelty's worn off. If it's really about Jerry Jones's ego, he's going to donate money to the Arkansas Razorback athletic department, whether they're playing inside his stadium or not.
You got to stoke the ego a little bit, and this applies to every powerful man or woman in not only sports, but just business in general. You typically repay them somehow, some way, and I think the Arkansas game. Now, if you wanted to, and here's what I didn't say, and this probably needs to be mentioned, it doesn't necessarily need to be Texas A&M. I probably should have started this argument, but they need to continuously play a game down there in Dallas, Texas. And I think Oklahoma State, I know they've already set up those, I want to say it's up to 4 now, those non-conference games that are set up in both home in Stillwater and Fayetteville. But Hunter Yurchak, and I don't know who Oklahoma State's AD is, could find a way to finagle those games to be placed in Jerry World. I think that would be perfect. I think that solves your kind of what you're talking about and my talking about, because it's a non-conference game, and I think it still has the recruiting advantages and stuff that you would have with Texas A&M.
It's the whole neutral site thing in college football sometimes gets into the idea, well, we're not drawing what we should at home. Well, why don't you play some of those games that you're playing on a neutral site at your home stadium? It's like Alabama's going to complain about playing at 11 o'clock in the morning too often in the non-conference games. Well, you play your best non-conference game in Atlanta or in Arlington, Texas, instead of in Tuscaloosa, right then and there. You play, if Alabama were to play, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I can't remember who it was they played in Arlington, but if they were to take that game, it was a Power 5 team, and move it to Tuscaloosa.
To USC.
It's not going to be 11 in the morning. It just isn't. It's going to be a primetime game.
To your point, Phil, and let me play devil's advocate for a sec. How many colleges out there, looking at their football program, want to play Alabama and Tuscaloosa? Now, I know SEC, I think, has the rule where you have to go to their place first and then they come back to yours. But the idea that it's just so easy for Alabama to schedule these non-conference games is not the case. There's not a lot of opponents out there that want to play Alabama, regardless if they're good at football or not. And so that makes it that much more difficult. And that's, I know that and I think you're right to a certain extent. Like, I'd love for these games to be home and home. Some of them, not all of them, but I think some of them are good instead of Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, and some of the other big metro areas that they've been at. But it's not exactly the easiest thing to convince. It's not the easiest sales pitch to go up to an AD of Joe Schmo, whoever, and be like, hey, why don't we do a home and home with you and Nikki in 5 years? That just it doesn't go like that. It's not easy. So
JT in Hot Springs says that he thinks in 2024 Arkansas will play Arkansas State in Little Rock to start the season every year. He didn't say change my mind, but I feel like he wanted us to, and I don't know if I can. Hunter Yurchek didn't slam the door on playing Arkansas State at the Touchdown Club earlier this week, so he's keeping the door open, and maybe that's for a reason. Thumper in Fort Smith texts in, if it wasn't for Arkansas track and baseball, the Hogs would be one of the most irrelevant Power 5 programs in the last 10 years. Change my mind. So I guess you're talking about the athletic department overall, and I guess if you're removing track and baseball, but that's a big if. But then again, softball's been good. Soccer is on its way up. Again, these are the things that football fans don't really want to hear. But
yeah, 20, if you're saying last 10, 2010, 2011. So if he said like last 8, yeah, but you can't really, or last 7. But if you include that, 2010, 2011, you were on track to go to the national championship both years potentially. So I don't know.
I know I can't change your mind that if you're looking for a car, it's Rhodes Chevrolet, the name you can trust for over 80 years. Rhodes has always been dependable in the car buying and car owning experience, and there's not a lot of places where that goes together. They're going to make you feel important. They're going to make you feel calm and comfortable at Rhodes Chevrolet, because when you walk into the showroom, you're treated like family. Part of the family-owned dealership and service department that has served the River Valley for over 8 decades. That's Rhodes Chevrolet, where your next dependable vehicle is waiting for you at 2800 Alma Highway in Van Buren or at RhodesChevy.com. Rhodes Chevrolet, dependable since 1934. We're going to come back after the break. A little basketball to talk about, and Bill King from Nashville Sports Radio in about 10 minutes on ESPN Arkansas and HitThatLine.com.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson. Follow them on Twitter at Phil Elson PXP and at Ty Sports Radio.
Now is the time to book your fundraising and corporate golf outings for 2019 at Eagle Crest Golf Course. Call Eagle Crest now before all the best dates are gone. 479-632-8857. Eagle Crest Golf Course, voted best of the best golf course 2 years in a row. Let their staff take care of everything, from help with your tournament as well as food and beverage service. If you're looking for a place to host your corporate or charity event this year, call Eagle Crest Golf Course. 479-632-8857.
Frank Rowe Furniture knows you are tired of all the back-to-school sales. So this September, we are going to do something different. Come into Frank Rowe Furniture and spin the wheel and win a free swivel recliner or get anywhere from 5 to 50% off at Frank Rowe Furniture. We also are now offering 0 down and up to 60 months interest-free financing with approved credit. Spin the wheel to win, only at Frank Rowe Furniture. You always win at Frank Rowe Furniture, 405 4th Street in Barding, Arkansas. Best seats in the house.
Joe's Grill and Cantina is the only place to watch the Hogs. Watch every game at Joe's. Enjoy half-price apps and taps during the game. And with TVs all around the restaurant, you'll have a front row seat. Half-price appetizers like brisket nachos, Mexican pizza, 10-layer dip, or Joe's humongous sampler platter. All half-price. And all beers on tap are half-price. Watch every Hog game at Joe's. Half-price apps and taps during every Hog game at Joe's Grill and Cantina. 3400 South 74th Street across from Harps.
Locally owned Lumber One can handle all of your building needs. They've built their business on having great relationships with everybody from contractors and builders to the everyday build-it-yourself. Lumber One is a full-line door shop to handle all of your door, window, and trim needs. And along with lumber, roofing and drywall products, attic wall and floor insulation is available. Lumber One also does blueprint takeoff with access to design services with estimates available. So go where the pros go. Lumber One, located on Industrial Park Road in Van Buren.
Your fence is more than a decoration. It's a reflection of its owner. Choosing a fence company should be done with integrity and quality in mind. The Fence Man has been providing fencing and security solutions for over 40 years. An in-house custom iron and gate department, plus an access control department. The Fence Man offers services other companies aren't equipped to do. The Fence Man, fencing and security solutions to protect what matters most. 479-782-3936 or online at thefencemancompany.com, a division of Quantum Property Services.
Was your roof damaged by recent storms? Don't fall victim to out-of-town contractors and fly-by-night repairmen. Trust the local roofing professionals at Able Roofing. Call their local number, 474-0006, for a free roof inspection. Never trust something as important as the roofing system on your home to a storm chaser. Able Roofing, 474-0006, will work with your insurance company. Call now for your free roof inspection, 474-0006. Able Roofing, the hometown roofers.
Make Awake Boat Sales and Service is not only where you can get your next Yamaha or Skeeter boat, they also carry a huge selection of bait and tackle. Find whatever floats your boat at Make Awake Bait and Tackle. They carry tons of top brand lines of rods and reels and everything you need to gear up your tackle box, from Strike King, Kitech, and Zoom to Sunline and War Eagle products. Make finding your next Yamaha or Skeeter boat an easy catch with Make Awake Boat Sales and Service in Van Buren, 4806 Alma Highway in Van Buren, and MakeAwakeBoats.com.
This is the Morning Rush.
Play calling is not what caused Nick Starkel to throw 5 interceptions. I still question the fact that a quarterback gets an opportunity to throw 5 interceptions. That, to me, is still head-scratching.
You want to see Ben Hicks?
Put John Neighbors in. 5 interceptions? You need to come to the sideline and think about it for a little while.
On that 5th one, he did, I guess, technically.
Yeah,
but yes.
But how do you even get the chance to throw 5?
Don't miss the Morning Rush. Weekdays from 6 till 9. Only on ESPN 95.3. ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by Coors Light, made to chill. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Davis, first down, a bunch more. Here's one of those types of scores as he'll take it the distance. Touchdown, Arkansas. 62 yards.
Welcome back here on Halftime on ESPN Arkansas. HitThatLine.com. Phil Elson, Ty Richardson. We've been talking football for the entire show, but we're going to do a little basketball here because Eric Musselman met with the media yesterday. And, oh, my goodness, I hear a breaking news sounder here, Ty. Do you have breaking news for us? What's going on?
I mean, I think we got to lead off with the Nolan Richardson thing, Phil. That's finally been announced. I mean, that is 100-year check. Touched on it at the Little Rock Touchdown Club on Monday that he was going to announce what it is, and now it's finally been out there.
So it's Nolan Richardson Court at Bud Walton Arena, and the first time you get a chance to see it is October the 20th when Arkansas plays UALR in an exhibition game that's really a charity game because the $10 general admission tickets, all the proceeds will go to charities to help benefit those who were affected by the awful storms across the River Valley and the floods over about a month and a half ago. So I mean, there's a lot wrapped up there because for one, Nolan Richardson's name will be on the court, but what else is going to be on the court? Because that side-facing Razorback might not be there. Everybody wants to see the slobber hog, and oh, by the way, it's Arkansas UALR for the first time in a basketball game. So. A lot going on there. Oh, and you can also see what this next year's team will look like, which is a little bit shorter than you'd like to see. And I think they might be exciting nonetheless.
Tickets are $10. You got a first-come, first-served basis. This does not include the suites or courtside seats, but it's kind of cool for Arkansas and the NCAA to work out this deal because the proceeds are going to those who have been impacted by the flood here in the spring. And I think that's kind of cool. And I know some people got on social media, and Phil, I don't know about you, but I have a little mixed feelings about this. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea, as I'm prefacing that. But I think it would have been that much cooler if they would have done the ceremony when Kentucky came to town on January 18th. Is it bad for me, even though they're doing all this? And 100%, it's a good idea. But I have just a little holdback that's like, man, I kind of wish they brought Dale Brown. I kind of wish they would have brought Pitino back and did it on the Kentucky game that Saturday.
Like you wanted them to wait until January for this?
I know that sounds stupid, but it's the marquee game of them all. And maybe just like a reintroduction. I know they'll dedicate it, but maybe Nolan can make the trip back for that game. And maybe they can somehow get Pitino and Dale Brown and some other legendary coaches that coached against him at the time. Maybe that's just me being selfish, but
I don't see why Nolan wouldn't be there. I mean, he still lives up in Fayetteville, or at least close by. Still attends plenty of the games, and I mean, he was even understanding about why his protege, Mike Anderson, was not retained. So I don't see why Nolan wouldn't be there. So practice has started. The countdown until tip-off. They open the season with Rice, correct?
November 5th.
The countdown is, what is it now, 42 days?
42 days, my friend.
Means 45 days until my first
Mm-hmm.
game with the women's basketball team. Can I just put it up here early in the season that I think that the women's team will win more games than the men's team this year? Maybe I should wait for next week. We'll do a change my mind on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. We'll see. Maybe I might have to make my assessment a little later down the road, but we'll see. And I might need to study up a little bit more on Neighbor Squad. I know that Dungy's coming back, and that always is a better help than a hindrance, Phil.
Really, I mean, the one thing they lost that they might have difficulty replacing for the women's team is point guard Malika Monk, but I think Atiana Golden will be a point. They've added shooters. It's going to be a really good women's basketball team. I think the men's team will be fun to watch, but I think it's going to be a year or so until they really get the roster the way that Muss would like it. You will like it if you head over to Breeden RV. Still have the last big RV show of the year going on now. Chance to save thousands. Still have a giant selection of new and used RVs, ATVs, UTVs, boats, and motorcycles. There's a Deer Hunter special, new 21-foot travel trailer starting at $999.5, and new fifth wheels up to 35% off, and everything new coming with Breeden RV's exclusive free maintenance for life. That's Breeden RV in Van Buren. Go to BreedenRVs.com for more information. We're going to talk with Bill King from Nashville Sports Radio with a look around the SEC and college football next on ESPN Arkansas and HitThatLine.com.
Good coaches win. Great coaches cover. You're listening to Halftime.
You always get more at Orr.
We always put the customer first at Orr Chevrolet in Fort Smith. Since 1924, the Orr family of dealerships has grown based on one simple principle. Give the customer more money for their trades and give them a lower price on their new vehicle. It's a simple concept, really, but one that very few dealers honor anymore. Hey, we know you paid a lot of money for your vehicle, and Orr Chevrolet wants to pay you the maximum amount for it today. Then we'll give you an awesome price on a new Chevrolet. But we're not done giving you more. Included with any new vehicle sold. Orr Chevy will also give you a lifetime powertrain warranty, 2 years of free maintenance, and free car washes for life. So come get a lower price and more money for your trade today at Orr Chevrolet on Auto Park Drive in Fort Smith and 24/7 at OrChevyFS.com. Chevy, find new roads.
You always get more at Orr.
We've invented a new messaging system using the crisp sounds of Bud Light. Crisp Code. Lesson 42. This is how you say happy hour. It's happy hour. Let's go get some Bud Lights. That's it for today.
Brewed with no corn syrup. Bud Light. Crisp. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Some people will never reach the top. Some will never even try. But anyone with a gall to push their limits knows the reward. Here's an offer that goes further. Get a Yeti Hopper Flip 8 cooler, a nearly $200 value with the purchase of 4 new BF Goodrich mud terrain or all-terrain tires.
Get where you need to be with Southern Tire Mart, just off I-540 at exit 14 in Fort Smith.
See bfgoodrichtires.com/promo for complete details. Offer expires 10/8/2019. Void where prohibited.
Unlimited personal group training at the Fort Smith Athletic Club. Personal group training is a great way to create accountability for your fitness while improving mobility, endurance, and overall wellness. Reach your fitness goals faster with personal group training. Only $60 a month. Call Mike Johnson at 479-926-0193. These workouts are high intensity and get results in under an hour. Only $60 a month. Call for class schedules and details. 479-926-0193. Results happen here at the Fort Smith Athletic Club.
At Chambers Bank, our Arkansas roots grow deep, and you can trust us as your partner for every banking need. From a simple checking account to your first home loan, whatever you need, big or small, we are here for you. With 18 convenient branches throughout the state and a full suite of online banking options, we will always be available when you need us. Family owned in Arkansas since 1930, Chambers is your full-service community bank. Bank with trust at Chambers Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 631520.
ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Back to pass, Grovey. Quarterback draw. He's got a hole. He may go. He's at the 5. Touchdown, Arkansas.
It's been a while since we were able to visit with Bill King, who hosts on Nashville Sports Radio 6 to 9 every morning. Good to have him back as all guests join us on the Cherokee Casino Hotline. And Bill, good to hear your voice. How you been?
Hey guys, doing good. Thank you.
Awesome. So let me ask quickly about perception of Arkansas this past weekend, because there was so much else going on in the SEC, and yet Arkansas is a 21-point favorite, lays a humongous egg against San Jose State, and I just wonder from your perspective, if you saw that score, was that a game? Even though Notre Dame and Georgia was going on at that moment, did you flip over to see if San Jose State would pull off the upset? And what do you take from an Arkansas loss at home to one of the dregs of FBS?
I'm shocked that Arkansas and Tennessee are literally floating in the hopelessness abyss, is what it feels like. And now I know the teams are not exactly the same, but they're both equally inept, it seems like. And, yeah, I was surprised. I thought this year would continue to be a struggle defensively, and I think that's something that's going to take a long time. And, I'm not a big fan of the coordinator, but I am a Coach Morris fan, and I'm surprised offensively that they aren't more capable, because I've watched him from high school on, and that's what he does. He's a brilliant offensive guy. So I'm surprised they're not much better there, and in a situation like that, you just simply score so many points it doesn't matter. That's what I would have thought.
So Arkansas gets Texas A&M this weekend. Jimbo Fisher, I don't know if he's going to get a pass for whatever happens this year against the really good teams he plays, but I get the sense that Aggies fans were really frustrated with how Auburn pushed them around for those first three quarters. And for me, that's a huge win for Gus Malzahn and the Tigers. I don't know if it takes the pressure off him so much, but that to me was maybe the biggest game in the SEC, certainly in the West last week. Auburn looked good. A&M, they're waiting until the fourth quarter to do very much.
Well, true, and they're not getting play from the quarterback like we anticipated. They now you knew they would lose to Clemson. That's not a shock. Probably figured they'd win against A&M at home. The problem with Auburn is, guys, they've still got Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and LSU. They haven't even hit the meat of their schedule. Now, they are a surprise, a little bit better than I thought they'd be. And I think the Aggies are probably that one game not as good as we thought they would be. Figured they'd win at home. You're not going to beat Alabama. You're going to lose another game or two along the way and probably be 8-4, 9-3. Right now, that does not look like the Aggies are going to get there.
Speaking with Bill Keene, Nashville Sports Radio here on the Cherokee Casino Hotline. Bill, let's step outside of Arkansas and talk some college football. Wisconsin put a beat down on Michigan this weekend in Camp Randall. Jonathan Taylor goes for over 200 yards. The Michigan offense looks inept under Josh Gaddix in his first year. Sticking with Wisconsin, is Paul Chryst and his unit showing us that you can still play hard-nosed football in the Power 5?
Yeah, you have to commit to it, and you got to want it. Wisconsin's culture is that, though, and they've always played that style to a certain extent. And I'm not surprised. Now, Michigan's got all kinds of problems. They hired Josh Gaddis, who didn't call the plays at Alabama. Mike Loxley did, who's now at Maryland. And I don't even know what they're running. It's not the RPO offense we were told. The team's got no heart at all. I have a ton of Michigan fans that listen to the show. And if you'll notice, late in that game, first of all, they're just walking around. There's no heart or energy in Michigan at all. And late in that game, Dylan McCaffrey, they were giving him a shot at quarterback over Shea Patterson, gets decapitated, literally. I mean, it's one of the most brutal hits. And I'm not a big targeting call guy. I mean, this was brutal. He's lucky he's alive after that hit. Nobody at Michigan even said a word. None of his players stood up for him. They just stood there and looked. And that made a lot of people mad. There's just no energy. It's like somebody reached in, Harbaugh's not even the same guy, and ripped his football soul out and threw it off the flat earth, never to be found again. That's what they look like right now.
So, Bill, I'm wondering your opinion on this D'Eriq King story. For those who haven't heard, he's the quarterback for Houston. Him and a teammate it's a wide receiver whose name is blanking me right now. They've decided that they are going to redshirt and come back to Houston the following year. Now, there's no injury involved, and that's being reported, and I text someone who works for the Houston Chronicle about this. There's nothing like that's going on, but it seems like the motive of him deciding to redshirt this season is solely based on the team's trash. They're 1-3. He's been pretty good, but outside of him, there hasn't been a lot of success. Do you think the NCAA is going to change this rule in the offseason based on what Keene and his teammate and potentially others might decide to do?
I can promise you, when they were thinking about this 4-game rule, which I thought and think is a good idea, I never thought that some guy who's happy with the depth chart, who's the main guy, the quarterback, who gets to stuff the stat sheet all he wants. In basketball terms, he gets to take 30 shots a game, D'Eriq King. He gets to do anything. He's an incredibly talented dual-threat quarterback. And you get to that 4-game limit, and he says, you know what? I'm probably better off redshirting, coming back for my 5th year. And I assume he wants it to be presented like, well, we'll be better next year. What about the player who gets to play quarterback right now who counted on him being gone? And now you just did it right back to D'Eriq King. There's got to be something more to it here. I don't think this is all on the up and up. Look, think about how golden the quarterback position is. And if you don't have one, it's really golden, right? You notice it. But there's got to be any number of teams who have reached out to him, and I know it's not legal to do that because he's not in the portal. So what? People do this stuff all the time. Doesn't matter whether it's legal or not. NCAA legal. He's got to have a list of teams right now that say, come on, and you can play immediately for us this next year. I assume he graduates. This is his 4th year as a grad transfer, and we don't have to clear any hurdles here. Just come on. Something's got to be going on there, guys. I don't believe in the authenticity of what they're trying to sell us, is what I'm telling you.
Well, and, I saw an article in the Houston Chronicle talking about some of the boosters there at Houston must be thinking to themselves, we didn't pay Holgorsen all this money to come here, and 4 weeks into his first season, he wants a do-over, and maybe figured out a way to get a do-over with some of the players that he really wants on the team. And you think this is something that's cooked up by Holgorsen?
It's something I never even thought somebody would do. Boy, there are a lot of theories out there. Let me give you, okay, guys, this will fall under reckless speculation. So just...
we love that in talk radio. That's great.
Well, absolutely. That's why I'm doing this. Kendall Briles was there, of course, and he is now at Florida State. Those two are very close. And there's one line of thinking that maybe Kendall Briles floated this. They're going to need a quarterback. He's better than anything Florida State has, easily. There's some thought that Kendall Briles came up with this concoction and watch out for FSU for him to come in there and eventually save Willie Taggart's job. Now, again, reckless speculation, but there is connections there to that story I just presented you.
Interesting. So I know you pay attention. We've talked about the Florida State fan base, and I know you've got guests that come on that focus on the Seminoles. And I want to ask about Jimbo Fisher's last year with the Seminoles. I mean, it just looked like maybe he was just looking for the next job or knew that the opening at A&M would come. He's building a program at Texas A&M. He had built a national champion at Florida State. But what did he leave Willie Taggart with the Seminoles for that first year? And, I mean, did he really kind of take his eye off the ball there in Tallahassee?
Well, first of all, he loses DeAndre Francois in the supposed biggest opening day game in college football modern history, Alabama against Florida State. Remember the hype? To a horrible knee injury, a career-threatening injury. And Francois is not a good guy anyway. He's an off-the-field problem. But a talented kid. There was a lot of hope. After that, they really didn't have much. They had to take a James Blackman, who was a true freshman, was not ready to play him. And it looked like it looked like Jimbo was losing a lot of his energy, too, in that program. Now, let me just give you a couple of things. Jimbo was in a fight with the AD there. They did not like. And a longtime booster of the Seminole Club, he was in a fight with him. And it was over not getting a football-only indoor practice facility and other promises. And this fight had been going on and on. You got to also remember Jimbo was coming off a very bitter divorce where the divorce happened because his wife was cheating with a former Gator football player. And he's got a kid with a significant illness. So Jimbo had about 5, 6 huge life things going on at one time, including a football team that was dysfunctional. So I'm long-winded, but I just kind of wanted to go back over that with everybody. It was not just a normal year where you didn't win enough games. And if you think about it, he left talent there, but the quarterback situation was unclear. DeAndre Francois is not there, of course. He's wandering somewhere. He's not there. Blackman's the quarterback, at least at the moment, but he's got an injury too. So they got the Wisconsin kid playing. It's just a big mess. They've got talent. They don't have Clemson talent, but they've got top 20 talent. And Willie Taggart was a really bad hire. So add all that to the bubbling pot there.
Bill, 30 seconds on this one. I know we talked about LSU before the season. They're really starting to build some momentum. If they beat Florida, if they beat Auburn, would you give them any chance whatsoever? And I'm talking about a fighter's chance. I'm not talking about 5%. To go down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and beat the Crimson Tide for the first time since 2011?
No, I don't think they're good enough on defense. I'm very impressed with them, but to actually win that game, I wouldn't. No.
See, he knows how to keep it to 30 seconds. That's called a radio professional right there.
Well,
Bill,
it took 10 minutes on Jimbo, so I knew where I was going.
That's right. Bill, it's great talking with you again. Missed you the last couple of weeks. Hope all is good with the family. Talk with you next week.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
You got it. Bill King from Nashville Sports Radio. Cherry on the top of halftime next on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Do you hear that Coors Light being poured? It's the perfect temperature. How can I tell just based on the sound? I can't. But I can see that the mountain on the can is blue. And when the mountain is blue, your Coors Light is perfectly cold. Coors Light is cold lagered for a crisper taste, cold filtered for brightness and clarity, and cold packaged for peak refreshment. Doesn't that sound good? 2019 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Littleton's Paintless Dent Repair is your one-stop shop for all repairs. Paintless Dent Repair, door dings, unsightly dents, and hail damage repair, all repaired to like new conditions. With over 1 million repaired vehicles with satisfied customers, Michael Littleton is the expert in paintless repair. Littleton's Paintless Dent Repair, conveniently located 3 miles from the Arcoma exit off Highway 112. Or call 479-461-9764. Your number one Arkansas fan.
Dee's Family Restaurant of Alma at 39 Column Lane across from the water park is now open on Sundays. Breakfast is served all day and our hot buffet is served from 11 to 8, 7 days a week. Our breakfast buffet is now served from 7 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. every day. All you can eat steak Thursday night, cooked order prime rib Friday night, and a seafood buffet on Saturday night. We have a party room that'll seat 50 and plenty of parking. Call ahead 632-1014.
Is your home at least 10 years old and served by OG&E? OG&E is offering Arkansas customers a free weatherization program to increase your comfort and lower your bills. A trained crew will perform an energy audit at no cost to you, and if your home qualifies, our crews will install measures that will save you money. The services provided through this program are absolutely free to qualifying homes. If you could benefit from free home weatherization improvements, call OG&E at 1-800-272-9741. That's 1-800-272-9741.
Being the family superhero is a tireless job, constantly defending against monsters in the closet and grass so tall it swallows small children. But who's there for them if you're not? Your local Shelter Insurance agent. With an insurance superhero sidekick, you can find a life insurance plan that helps provide a safety net for your family. Learn more at shelterinsurance.com. We're your shield. We're your shelter. Shelter Life Insurance Company, Columbia, Missouri.
Call me, Wade Gilkey in Fort Smith.
Or call me, Jim Malum in Charleston.
Hi folks, Larry Rath here for Rath Auto Resources. Thanks to everyone who chose Rath Auto Resources as a better way to drive, we've had a record summer. Now it's time to restock the lot. So all this month, we'll be giving up to $3,200 above appraised value for your trade. Even if you still owe money on it, we can help. With up to $3,200 extra for your trade, we can get you out of your old ride and into something nicer and newer now. Like these special purchase 2018 Hyundai Elantra SELs. Loaded with equipment, great looking, and Wrath Road ready starting at only $13,991. If you're keeping the car you have, let us take care of it for you in the Meineke Car Care Center with buy 3, get 1 free on all tires and 50% off on brakes. Help me restock the lot and get up to $3,200 extra for your trade. Now at Arkansas's favorite used car dealer, Wrath Auto Resources and the Meineke Car Care Center, a better way to drive. 4515 Towson Avenue, Fort Smith, or online at wrathauto.com.
Requires bank approval. Vehicle purchase price affects trade allowance.
Have you been looking for your next place to call home and just haven't found the right one? Then it's time to check out the properties at Trinity Multifamily. With a variety of apartments, duplexes, townhomes, and houses, there is surely one to fit your needs. Whether it's in the River Valley, Northwest Arkansas, or Central Arkansas that you are looking at, they have you covered. Give them a call today. Trinity Multifamily, 479-452-1817. That's 479-452-1817. Or online at trinitymultifamily.com to search rental properties near you.
ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by Coors Light, made to chill. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
And off Hillis. Peyton Hillis being chased but will not be caught. 65-yard touchdown.
Chad Morris was on the SEC coaches teleconference earlier this afternoon while we had started our show. Some of the tidbits from the head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. He did confirm Chase Hayden out for Saturday, but T.J. Hammonds is not just supposed to return, but Morris says he'll be part of the game plan on Saturday and says he's responded with a spectacular attitude to sitting out the first 4 games. Also quoted as saying the speed and size of the A&M receivers is impressive, as is Kellen Mond's decision-making, and expects that Arkansas will have to play fast and confident, and that Clemson and Auburn had to work extremely hard for their points against Texas A&M. Interesting tidbit here, Ty, coming from the Aggies' losses to Clemson and Auburn. They were outscored 45-6 in quarters 1 through 3. So, I mean, they got a garbage touchdown late against Clemson. They had near a furious comeback against Auburn in the fourth quarter, but it's just a team that's been really pushed around in those first 3 quarters, and really by both of those defenses, the Aggies couldn't run. I think they'll try to establish the run, which they did last year. Travion Williams ran for like 158 yards against Arkansas. But the Aggies, they averaged 2.3 yards per rush against Clemson and Auburn. Whatever they did against Lamar and the other team they played doesn't matter. It's a team that has struggled to run the ball against SEC caliber teams.
I want to say they just had slightly over 30-something yards against Auburn this past weekend. They're going to have a much easier time going against the Arkansas defense. You hope that some of those freshman D linemen, they got a quick learning curve because it's going to get tested on Saturday, Phil.
All right, plenty coming up tomorrow. We'll talk a little more Arkansas basketball, some sound from Eric Musselman. We'll continue to preview the Hogs and the Aggies. Bob Holt joins us as well. Now for Ty, I'm Phil. We'll be with you tomorrow. Get up, get out, and get better.